I think I'm pretty good, but that's not why they come here. They come here because for 44 years, I have treated people with respect and value.
You're listening to the Foundation Dental Podcast, strategic conversations for dentists and leaders building long-term value in dentistry. I'm Dr. Jim Arnold. Let's get into today's conversation. So, welcome to the Foundation Dental Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Jim Arnold, and my guest is the one and only Dr. Steve Rasner. Steve is an amazing guy. I had followed him way back in the day when I was first a newbie dentist. I used to read all of his articles, was really inspired by his philosophy and his take on practice management, on clinical acumen, and all that good stuff. But I'd never met him in person until last summer. We were both at the Supercharge Your Dental Practice event in Bermuda, of all places. And so finally, I got to meet this guy in person. And, you know, he's a guy who's done some amazing things in his career. I mean, he's lectured in 43 states, 5 countries, soon to be 6. He has built a $5 million fee-for-service practice in one of the most economically repressed areas of New Jersey, which is a huge thing that not many people are capable of. And he teaches all of the principles to get 90% plus case acceptance, which again is very unusual. And he does it without pressure, without gimmicks, without discounts, all that kind of thing. So without further ado, Steve, thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate having the opportunity to do something with you like we're going to do in late August in Dubai, and I appreciate the opportunity to be on your podcast.
No, man, I appreciate it. It's always fun to chat with you. You know, whether we're talking on the phone or on a Zoom or in person, you just have so many amazing stories and so much to teach. And so I appreciate it. Always do. You know, and I look at your career and all the stuff that you've done in 40 years. And I mean, you could make a very long list of accomplishments and places you've taught, people you've taught. But with all of that, Steve, what's the one thing that you're most proud of professionally?
I mean, you know, that's a weighted question with everybody that you ask that to. For me, it's taking where I was when I graduated dental school and flashing that forward, to be honest with you, with today, with 2025, like all the things in between that could have made me give up. And I know a lot of your listeners and a lot of guys that may not even hear this program the first time it comes out. The truth is everybody knows. And by the way, thank you for the great introduction. I need your listeners to know right off the bat that Steve Rasner doesn't look at himself as great this or great that. Steve Rasner looks at himself as just a relentlessly hard worker who just never gave up on anything. And I've had so many things happen in my career, including the beginning, which I'll share with you, that I think a lot of people would have given up. I do. And here I am, friggin' 71 years old. And this is the truth, guys. And I know I come across authentic because I am authentic. I don't literally have to work from a financial point of view. I could be done if I wanted to be done. And you struggle with that. You know what you do? You go out with your friends that are your age and they're all retired, or you go on a weekend skiing thing and you're the only one that has to get back because, you know, they're retired. And sometimes you almost even feel guilty about that you're retired. Or you have to explain it to people.
Really?
Yeah. But the truth is, like they'll say, what are you working for? And the answer to that's simple. I was able to develop a organization, my practice. I have 2 of them that I invested everything I have in it. And I'm proud of it. And it makes me feel good even to this day, you know, and I believe like a lot of my colleagues that are 70, 71, you know, we're not basketball or baseball players. You don't lose your skills at your mid 30s. And, you know, I still love doing it. I still love being that guy that walks into an operatory and meets a new patient. I still love a great week. I still love a beautiful before and after. And I've come to complete 180 on retiring. I think if you love what you do, no matter what you do, right?
Absolutely.
That you keep doing it. I mean, so that's that. I'll tell you, you mentioned that I have a lot of stories. I'm going to tell you one right now that's going to take us back reverse wise as to how I was able to establish the practices that I'm alluding to.
Please do, because, you know, I think a lot of dentists they don't see the path, you know, and they don't understand it. You know, no matter how hard they work, they don't have that unlock, you know, the things that made you so successful.
And I'm going to tell you guys things I've never told in another interview just because it's you. and it's your show.
Thank you.
So going back, I have to give the backdrop to this that I sold to a DSO in 2022. I still own, as we speak tonight, 15% of it, but I sold to a DSO. And it was Dental Care Alliance. I don't mind telling you. And they have not. And I went on a lecture circuit because I've been on it for 26 years, and I know some of you watching this saw me badmouth doing that, and it's true. I did, and I haven't changed my point of view. It's just from an investment, from a retirement point of view. Some of this, this, Jim. Some dentists are incredibly savvy. They bought strip centers, real estate in the 90s or 80s. They made a fortune in Apple or NVIDIA or whatever it was along the way. I never did any of that. I just wasn't that guy. So my biggest asset was my practice. And as core philosophical as I am about how I think you reach success and high levels of success, I didn't want to do that because I knew it was going to be a contradiction of what I've professed for years and years.
For sure.
But, that was my asset, and I wasn't leaving millions and millions of dollars on the table to prove a point.
That's right.
And it doesn't get any more honest than that.
No,
and let me tell you, 3 years after I did it, I'm here to tell you that they probably don't, they being the parent organization, probably doesn't care how much I care about my margins on my crown and bridge or the final aesthetics on an anterior implant, or whatever the things that drive me to be who I am clinically. I know they don't care. They care about what I produce in my office. And sometimes, not often, they will implement things from a corporate point of view that make it harder to do what I do. Like, I want to be clear, they let me use the labs I want to use. They let me use the supplies I want to use. But something as simple as changing your software that reflects the radiograph quality that you see.
And there's nothing simple about that. Oh, man.
Yeah. So, stuff like that. And so the reason I'm telling you that first is that about 3 weeks ago, I want you guys to picture this. I'm sitting at my private office. Now, my private office is right across the front desk in my office. And when you look out the door, I often can't see the patient that's speaking. I can see the front desk staff member speaking, but I can't see the person. So I hear her say, my staff member, "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't do that anymore." And
no.
So that's all I hear.
Yeah.
I hear the patient say, "Well, and this lady sounded like she was older, like in her 70s or later. And I heard her say, "Well, you should have told me that before you did the service." And I didn't know who it was, and I didn't need to hear one more thing. I was kind of fuming. So I said, "Hey," and I yelled, my door was open. "Hey, could you guys come down in my hallway? What are you talking about?" And so, and I'm not saying this to deprecate my front desk staff member.
Oh, of course not.
He knows I had this conversation that we're having. I said, "Well, what are you guys talking about? What don't we do anymore?" She says, "We don't give out senior citizen discounts." And I said, "Yes, we do." Yeah. Even if somebody told you didn't, I'm telling you we do, starting right now, and that should never have stopped. So
awesome.
And before I did that, she also said, "Let me get the manager." So the lady was, a little embarrassed and quite frankly, happy that I heard her. And the next morning, I called that front desk staff, my whole front desk team. I have a point to this, guys, so stay with me. Into my office, and I said this. I said, "Do you guys know of the pet food monthly pet supply place named Chewy?" And they said, some of them said, "Yeah." I said, "Let me tell you about them. Their business is based on supplying your pet monthly food so you don't have to get, and other things, so you don't have to go out and get it." I said, "You know what they do? Because if you're in that kind of business, sometimes the pet dies and you just got an order from that pet supply company that you had a yearly contract with or whatever. Now, what do you think they do when that happens? Because you don't need the food anymore. I mean, it's already bad enough your pet died." I said, "I'm going to tell you what they do. They tell you they're not going to bill you for it. And they tell you that you can donate it to a shelter, do whatever you want. And then they send you a sympathy card." Okay? "You know how much Chewy does a year?" I said. They do $11 billion a year.
Wow.
They don't think it's too beneath them. They don't think they're too big at 11 bill to do something so intimate with one of their customers, let alone thousands.
Mm.
Well, I said, I would like to tell you guys that everybody that comes in this office every day in our fee for service practice, that they come here because they know that I'm the second coming of G.V. Black, okay? The father of dentistry, those of you who blanked out. But I'll tell you something. I think I'm pretty good, but that's not why they come here. They come here because for 44 years, I have treated people with respect and value. It's absolutely the truth. It's why I need 4 front desk staff members. It is why you're employed. It's why I get paid.
Mm.
And I'll be damned if I'm going to let anybody wreck that by treating people so meaninglessly. Now,
Yeah.
I realize, Jimmy, that I didn't just give a revelation that nobody ever heard of, but it is absolutely the foundation of what I built. It is. I remember buying Nordstrom's books because everybody knows their legendary service, or
Mm.
Four Seasons books, and like, how do they
Oh,
put this?
yeah.
What
Good
makes
stuff.
Starbucks
Right.
or Apple or whatever? I remember thinking that 30 years ago and thinking, well, why can't I do that as a dental practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's today. That's real time story. And now let me tell you one other thing I did. And by the way, guys, I don't have all the answers. I don't even know if what I'm about to say to you is the right thing or not. Then I said, I used to do something that I want to reinstitute right this second. And here's what it is. There's 2 parts to it. The first is called the $200 off rule. What the heck's that? I said, if you have a patient that has a dispute with their bill up to $200 and you have researched it, I don't want you just to do it.
Yeah.
And research it at the second they're standing in front of you. That's what the morning meeting's about. That's why I have 4 of you at insurance department. Because listen, even though I'm fee for service, we allow them their maximum per year.
Oh,
And you
yeah.
know what that is.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I said, if you think it's in the practice's best interest,
Mm.
up to $200 or 20%, either one of those,
Mm-hmm.
that it's our best interest to resolve this issue right on the spot,
Mm.
I'm giving you the power to do that. If you
Boy,
think, and
that's
if you,
huge. That's huge.
I used to do it, Jim.
Your team feels some ownership, and
Yep.
they recognize that you don't just trust them, but they are a part of the business. And that's a big deal. That's what creates culture.
Well, you know what, Jimmy? I had my heart ripped out about a month ago. I have 2 practices. I'm rarely, if ever, in my original practice,
Hmm.
which is only 15 minutes away. There's only some hours in a day, and I just don't go over there a lot.
Yeah.
And I found out that a 35-year family, so a family of 6, the parents, the kids, their kids, left us because somebody wouldn't see them. Somebody corporate. My office is scared of corporate,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know why, because they're rarely in the picture.
Yeah.
But
Right.
somehow somebody allowed information to get to them to be scared. And I just wasn't aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, listen, we're not going to do that. Okay. We're
Yeah.
going to treat people like Chewy Cheap treats people.
Mm-hmm.
Going forward, I never again want to hear anybody say, I have to get a manager. As soon as you tell somebody that, whether you're in a grocery store, a hotel, or my practice, it just doesn't give off the right vibe. You need to be strong enough and powerful enough that they know they're that important. We're just going to solve this right on the spot. Now, I'm not talking about the person that's been owing us $700 for 4 years and doesn't show up for hygiene and just shows up with a problem.
Right.
We all know the difference. We have to understand that.
Of course.
So anyway, I went reversed. How did that all happen? I'm going to tell you how it happened. So I graduated in 1980. Okay. So I went to Penn, and I don't know if I've ever said this to you, but I was a psych major as an undergraduate, not.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
So the reason I'm telling you that is I took the minimum requirements because I didn't know what I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't sure I wanted to be a physician, a dentist, a lawyer. I didn't know.
Yeah.
So time was running out, and I had to make a decision. So applied to dental school. And when I got into dental school, not only did Penn have really smart guys in my class, but the 85, 90% of them were science majors. So when
Hmm.
I got walloped with all those etiologies,
Mm.
physiology, bio, whatever, I don't know, I couldn't even spell them. I was I was getting
Yeah.
pummeled in the first year.
Yeah.
And by the time I came up for air, I was in the back of my class. And by the time I graduated, even though I did very well in clinic,
Mhm.
it was late because you know what it's like,
Oh, man. That
you know?
that GPA is hard to bring up after a certain point, for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in dental school, it's not like, the separation between the top 20 students and the rest of us isn't 30 points. It can be 10 points. So you
Absolutely.
can be at the end of your class, which I was.
Mm.
It's the truth. So guess what happens when you're at the bottom of your class? You're not getting any GPRs. And you're damn lucky your dad was a dentist in the hometown that you're from, which is how I ended up in Cumberland County, New Jersey.
No kidding. I wondered
And
about that, like, how you landed there to build a practice when there's
because
so
somebody
many.
else
It's
would have
not Beverly Hills, you know? You're doing fee-for-service dentistry in a economically depressed area when most people think that would be impossible. So, like,
yeah.
why have you been so successful with that model when so many other doctors are afraid to even take that leap or make the effort to do it?
Well, I gotta be honest with you. To me, it was a pretty natural evolution because when I got out of school, the net effect on me, and I know you're into psychology a lot because I watch some of the things you deliver on social media. I felt like I'd stayed back in school. I mean, think about it for a minute, really. I came from this area.
Hmm.
It was a depressed area already. Nobody in the world would have said in 1980, oh my God, I want to go to southern New Jersey, particularly Cumberland County, Bridgeton. I'm sorry, nobody would have said that.
Right.
And so, I mean, the biggest employer of the area was a glass factory that shut down the year I graduated.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
there was just no hope. And I felt like I'd stay back in school. That's what it felt like. I remember it. Like, how could I be back here? I went to Penn, I graduated, I made it, and I'm back home, you
Yeah.
know? What gonna
Yeah.
do? Go
Never saw
hang
that one
out at the
coming.
right. Gonna hang out at the local bar with my classmates from 8 years ago? What am I gonna do? So, that motivated me to be the best possible dentist I could ever be,
Hmm.
and I became infatuated like many of the people that follow me and others like me in CE,
Mhm.
and I became a and as you might know, Jim, in the 1980 to about 1984,
Hmm.
there wasn't the kind of CE that we have today.
Okay.
There just wasn't. It was more one-day courses. There certainly wasn't a bevy of continuums, which
Mhm.
is what you need, whether it's endo, ortho, surgery, implantology, whatever it is. You need a continuum, like a maxi course, for example, in surgery,
Mhm.
uh, or aesthetic continuum.
Sure.
And when you take those type of courses, which is what I was doing
Mhm.
from the beginning, as soon as they were offered.
Which is awesome because there probably weren't a lot of people taking them back then, were
Yeah,
there? I didn't think
absolutely.
so. Yeah,
I
exactly.
yeah, I took Frank Spear and John Coy's
Mhm.
when they were still partners.
Oh my gosh.
They hadn't even
That's
split up yet,
amazing.
and I went out there
Wow.
19 times. I took
Jeez.
I took them together, then they split during the time I was being mentored by them. Then I took everything Frank had, and I took everything John had, and so when I was doing that, and so my number one recommendation, it's easy when I'm out there speaking,
Hmm.
is I tell our younger colleagues to live below your means the first 10 years. I know that's not sexy, and it doesn't sound fun. I'm not telling you to rent a dive, but you don't have to buy $1 million house, which isn't even that big of a deal, I understand
Mhm.
today, but you just have to have enough control. But that doesn't include investing in yourself. I would tell you, I'd put that on a credit card. I would borrow to
Oh my
invest in
goodness.
yourself.
You know,
But you
Steve, I had a period of time, I think from about 2001 through 2005, where I was doing about 300 hours of CE a year. I mean, it was too much. I did probably 3 times as much as I should have, but I was the same way. I was like so focused on being as good as I could possibly be. Went to all the continuums. I dragged my team all over the country. I had a few years, Steve, where we spent 100,
yeah,
200,000
I'm
on
right there with you.
our CE and our team, and you know what? It made us millions over time because, you know, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can go learn from these masters who have figured it out and then, apply what really makes sense for you.
Right,
What fits your
exactly.
model. And you did that from, man, like
I
high
became a
times.
professional, just like you. I took 300 hours a year. I never intended ever to be a speaker. I'll never forget the first time somebody asked me to share to speak. I'll never forget what it felt like. Like, I thought it was one of my friends pranking me, you know, right? So, and then when you're at those courses, that's why live CE is such a fundamental cornerstone
Mm,
in 2025 as it was in 1980s to become different. So it was easy. This is the answer to your question. It became easy for me because, I'm at Frank Spears for 3 days, and I had done
mm.
that, as I said to you, 19 times between him and Coy's, and I'm at lunch or at night, whatever we're doing, and you're meeting other really, because not everybody's that passionate.
Oh gosh, not at
You
all.
don't have to be.
You're
And I'm
right.
not at all here to criticize those that aren't. This was my path.
Hey, to each their own. I mean, the great thing about dentistry is there's 50 different ways to practice, and you can do the procedures that you want to do. And I love that. It's why I went into dentistry instead of medicine because there are so many different paths, and it's like, what works for you?
Let's talk about that because that's a thing that I bring up when I speak. Nobody, it's I call it the unspoken secret about the dental profession because if you and I were physicians, primary care physicians,
Mm,
and there was actually an article written by this in 2012 called The $1,000,000 Mistake:
hmm.
Becoming a Doctor.
Okay. Huh.
$1,000,000. You can
When was
Google
that written? When was that written?
2012. You
No
can look it up.
kidding. Yeah, I
Yep.
will.
So what it talked about is what the life of a primary care physician's like after investing the years, the money to get out finally and have their own practice.
Mm,
Now, you know how long the physicians and what they have to go through. And
absolutely.
and then if you're a primary care physician, you have to then I forget the number of hours per day of notes they had to transcribe and how many patients they had to see. And the average income, which is famous now, is less than our income.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, it's called the $1,000,000 mistake. So here's what's never. So obviously, there are some PCPs who change their course, right? Like, oh,
Hmm.
wait a minute, I don't want to do this. I want to do plastic surgery. I have a friend, a high school friend, that was a primary care physician and became a cardiac. He became a cardiac surgeon and then an oncologist. He became three things. Well, guess what? They don't take continuums to do that. They have to go back
Yeah.
for to go if you're a primary care physician, you know how many years more you need to be to go back in and become a plastic surgeon?
How many?
7.
Oh
7.
my God, that sounds painful.
Listen, I run an institute, an implant institute, and I'm a GP.
Yeah,
I didn't go back to school for 7 years. I
yeah,
took bevy of continuums like you were talking, 300 hours a year,
yeah,
every year,
yeah,
100,000, way more than that per year. For so many years, it seemed like that's just normal. I
yeah,
used to select my courses like you would in college. I remember doing in November, December for the spring, and in the summertime for the fall and winter.
I love
I
that.
remember doing it.
I love that. Yeah,
So
I remember those days where I had so many things on the calendar. It's like, "Oh my God, I can't fit anything else in." But you gotta plan ahead, and get the education you want.
so in doing that, I would meet people, we would talk, we'd have lunch, dinner, whatever we were doing. And you would invariably find out, for example, what lab they use.
Mm,
Something as basic as that. What are you guys
yes.
charging in Illinois for a crown? You know? I
Yeah,
mean, of course, you gotta remember, I don't know when the internet really came on strong, but obviously it's much easier today because there's a million groups that you can correspond with. But what lab you use Just I mean, what do you do with this problem or that
Yeah.
problem, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. And I always found that I learned as much like after the 8 to 5 course or whatever. I learned as much from, like 8 to 1 a.m. as I did during the day because that's when you're having real conversations. If you're in a bigger course, it's not easy to ask those questions. It's not easy to have that back and forth because there's too many people there.
Yeah.
But if you can get that one on one time with people you really respect, those are the conversations that I think really move the needle.
Yeah, look, those we all are in awe of those special practices that we hear about, and how do they get to be that person? Look, first of all, there's a lot of social media today that's not good for your
Yes,
head,
for sure. Yeah.
and I don't want to beat an old saying, but you do want to be the best version of yourself, and what else can you really do,
Yeah.
right?
That's it.
But what you don't wanna do is look the other way when there's an obvious problem in your office, let's say for staff, because just as one example. So there's a lot of avenues to what leads to a great practice like I've been blessed to have. And one of them is leadership. It's being vigilant,
Yeah.
and I was always vigilant, Jim. I
Mhm.
always would not put things off
Yeah.
if I thought they needed it. In fact, I would call a meeting. I still do.
Yeah.
That very day, the problem, became obvious to me, whatever that was.
Yeah, because avoiding it, it's not gonna get any better. You gotta address it, like, directly in the moment.
Yeah. And so, morning meetings became something I became really good at.
Mm.
And look, not everybody has their version of what a morning meeting should be. Many people poo-poo it. Because you know what happens to a lot of practices also? They get successful. This happened in my own town.
Mm.
And then they put it on automatic pilot because it's hard to put
Yeah.
out energy all the time required for high levels of success. But at the end of the day, I've been working 4 days. Now, I work 3 now, but I worked 4 days for about 20 years up till 3 years ago or 2 years ago, I don't remember, when I went to 3 days.
Mhm.
I didn't think it was a big price, Jim, to do what I'm telling you. I
Yeah.
didn't think it was a big price to take a lot of courses. In fact, I liked it. I still like it.
Course. Absolutely. Like getting out there, there's always something new to learn, or somebody new to meet, different conversations. It's just whenever I felt like I got in a little bit of a rut or just this routine that was not fulfilling, I had to get back out there. And whether I was learning something or just having great conversations with people I vibed with, I always came back energized and like ready to go again.
And, you probably don't even know how unusual that was for you and your team that you developed and worked with all those years. It's hard to do that, guys. I mean, it is. It's easy to hit a slump. I wanna be very clear. I hit many slumps.
Mm.
I mean, it never lasted,
Yeah.
but it is scary to I remember when I went from insurance to fee for service, and it wasn't a one-day thing, and I would never recommend that. Again, I'm
Gotta
one
be a
opinion.
process.
Right. I'm one guy's opinion,
Mm.
and I think it's really important, whoever we listen to, that you don't buy in and drink the Kool-Aid on any one person. You take
Yes.
several points of view,
That's right.
and, my view was because I remember going to Blue Cross Blue Shield people in my community because we always get a sense, don't we, of all the teachers were
Mm.
Delta Dental in my area, and all the frontline workers at the time were Blue Cross. And I remember being scared to death
I'm
to
sure.
tell them I'm not taking them anymore, right?
Yeah.
But first of all, you have to have something worthwhile to offer, do you not? I mean, I still tell that in my morning meeting. Like, what are we going to do here today that's going to affirm to those people walking in the door that are going to be paying us more than anybody else in the area because we're not in network, so
Yep.
they're going to reimburse less,
Gotta pay a lot out of pocket. Yep.
right?
So
What are
you
we going
better
to do to
offer something different, something that differentiates yourself and makes it worth their while in
And that's
terms of
everything.
perception. Yep, it
Being
is.
on time.
Yeah.
It's your clinical work. You can't just wish to do clinical work. And by the way, it doesn't just get better because you practiced 20 years instead of 5.
Mhm.
You know, there's things you have to know that you just can't know on your own, how other people do things. So everything counts. It counts for you to be vigilant, as I already mentioned in this podcast. Like, you can't look the other way if you have an abusive staff member, and I bring that up because we all have one at one time,
Sure.
right?
Yeah. What an awful experience that is.
Right? And you can't look the other way. You want to because usually that staff member is very talented at something. That's
Right.
why they do what they do.
Right.
But I'll never forget it, and I'm sure you don't either. I remember being taken to task that I had to do something. I
Mm.
didn't do it the first time I heard that person disrespect another colleague in my office, but I knew I had to do something, and eventually I did, and there was never one time that I didn't feel I did the right thing and was more respected by everyone in
Yeah.
the office, and we all lifted to a higher level because I made the move. You have to make that move, doc. Nobody else can make it for you,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
So,
Leadership
I'm
is
off on a
is
lot of tangents. I'm
It's
sorry.
oh, no, no, that's great. Leadership is such a funny thing. You go through dental school and you're not really learning about business, you're not really learning about leadership, you're not really learning about communication, all that sort of thing. Some people have it more than others just kind of
Yeah.
naturally, and some people have to learn it. They go through the process, or it's just experience over years. You kind of figure out what works and what doesn't. When you talk about 90% case acceptance though, plus, that's unusual. I don't know of anybody who talks about that. And do you attribute that to great communication skills? Do you attribute that to having a great team? Do you, at the end of the day, it all comes down to leadership. But how have you been successful with that? And what are other doctors missing? Do you think, as a general rule?
Well, number one, I have had extraordinary success for a very long time with people presenting a treatment plan and having the patient say yes.
Mm,
And in my world, that only means yes if they paid me.
mm-hmm.
Never
Right.
was, "Oh, this is great. I'm doing this the first thing in January." That means I didn't get it,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
And that's okay too, by the way. That's fine. But I was just honed in on it, and so how it really worked for me was this, and the answer to your question why others might struggle is they are lacking in any one of the 3 or 4 steps I'm gonna lay out real quickly. One is we had a great well, it's case acceptance starts with your branding.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're for years, Jim, I branded an appointment today. I did that. That was our shtick. An appointment today. Well, guess what that attracted? People that hadn't been to a dentist in a long time that
Yeah.
had emergencies.
Yeah. Right.
Patients are the greatest patients that seek Frank Spear, John Coy's, Pete Dawson comprehensive treatment plans.
Mm-hmm.
They seek root canals,
Right.
extraction,
Right.
one-tooth dentistry, and I
Yeah.
didn't know that. All I knew was, "Damn, this works. People are calling me." So
And you
it's
know what? I always found that those emergencies, when you can get them out of pain or you can take care of them in a timely manner, they will stick with you, right?
yeah, they'll stick with
Value
you
created.
time to time. I think that's if I was teaching, marketing, that would not be the market I would go. The market, for without a doubt, to me, 45 years later, is confidence and trust.
Mm,
That A, you can trust me. You can trust my work, and you can trust what I'm going to tell you. You can trust that I'm not going to upsell you,
mm,
all those things. And you have to earn that the second you walk into that room.
mm.
Okay. And obviously that's beyond the scope of this particular podcast, but it's something I intend to share out in Dubai because case acceptance is everything. You
Yeah.
could be the greatest dentist in the world. If you don't get enough case acceptance, you spend your days doing single crowns,
Oh, man.
in a maloccluded dentition.
And there are a
That's
lot of dentists who have great skills, in terms of what they've learned to do clinically, but without those communication skills, they're not going to do much dentistry. They're not going to do the stuff that they really want to do.
yeah. So I brand when I say brand, whatever I'm using, I use radio because and again, it's a scope for another conversation. I love
Hmm.
to come back someday,
Oh, yeah.
but you can't do the same marketing in a rural area like I'm in. You can't use that in New York City. It's cost formidable. You just can't. There's other things you can do.
Exactly.
Can't do
Yeah.
that. But
Comes
I
down to
do.
your market and what you can,
Yeah.
yeah, what you can afford. Right.
I'm in a local newspaper, I'm in a local free giveaways, and I'm on the radio. And we brand trust through our words and through our messaging and we brand confidence too. And
Mhm.
I, part of that comes from being in the same area for 45 years, et cetera. So why am I telling you that? Because emergency patients don't call me as much as they used to, and I'm fine with that.
Mhm.
So the next step is, do you have a great screen in place? Being successful at a high level in dentistry means that you don't work on everybody in the community. Not everybody wants. Not that I don't do comprehensive dentistry all day long.
Mhm.
I'm just saying to you that there are people who simply do just want their tooth pulled, who
Mhm.
simply just want one tooth dentistry, and we have ways of determining that, which you should
Yeah,
have,
absolutely.
and
That
what we call
screening process is critical, isn't it?
so then they come in finally, and then there's a very, very tight wrapped protocol on everything from how long they which isn't long, they spend in the reception room, how they're greeted,
Hmm.
how they're who takes them back,
Yeah.
what's going on before I get in there, and then a lot of what I say, honestly, is look, I can't dunk a basketball, but I'm real good at meeting people. And you said it in this podcast, not everybody has equal skills. That is a skill you can develop.
It's
And
true.
part of it, for example, is looking people in the eye,
Mhm.
smiling a lot. I know I did something I noticed over years. Like I don't naturally some people just break into a lovable grin. I don't. I gotta like remind myself, hey, good place to but I am crystal clear on how I communicate to people. I'm crystal clear on having them lay their guard down, okay?
Mm.
And I want them to let their guard down, even if they don't accept my treatment. Because if
Mhm.
their guard's up, we can't even have a really meaningful conversation. Listen, you take somebody that walks in your room that really has a lot of dental needs. And
Mm.
by the way, little things like we really do have this significant other in that first visit
Oh, hell yeah.
50% of the time.
Yep.
7 out of 10 times. That's not
That's
1 out of
fantastic.
3, it's 7 out of 10, and I want them there because I know and there is something I could really share with a lot of your listeners in a more intimate situation that, I can't tell you all this in a short amount of time, but there is a way to let people understand that you're there for today
Mm.
is to educate them and give them information. If they decide to move forward today,
Yeah.
yay, I'm happy about it. If they don't and they leave with a and this happened to me this week, Jim. I
Mm.
gave a presentation. I thought I had them,
Yeah.
and I know that sounds weird. I thought I
No.
had 'em,
Yeah.
but I
No,
did.
absolutely. You
And the
feel really
husband
good about it? Man, they're in for sure.
I
Yeah.
looked at his mouth. He'd been treated by what I call a good old Joe,
Mm.
Doctor Good Old Joe, MOD, MOUSE amalgam in his mouth, you
16
know
surface amalgams.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yes. A couple missing teeth, root canals that desperately needed full coverage, gingivitis. Said he went regularly. Could have been lying, but I don't think he was.
Yeah.
And, sat there with a poker face. So much so that a couple times I said, "So what are you thinking? I'm just curious. I'm looking at your face. I
Yeah.
can't read." Right?
Yeah.
And I'm kidding with his wife who was sitting in the corner and I said, Are you're not liking on me?" Like, I'm also a chameleon. I wouldn't say that line to other people,
Yeah,
but
you gotta know the right time and place. And that's all about reading who's sitting next to you.
and after about 40 minutes, I thought this guy, because then what we do is I say something like this, and I realize your listeners aren't getting all of this, but I say, "Here's what's gonna happen next. You remember Michelle because you met her before I came in the room. Because Michelle, who does the screen, or whoever does the screen, re-screens them in the office. Because often the information is deeper and better in the
Yeah,
office for whatever reason, okay? Well, here's what's gonna happen. She doesn't know what I'm thinking when I'm looking at you because I didn't know. But now I have a pretty good idea with you, I can't always do this, what I would do if I was you.
mm,
And you need to know what it cost. I know
yeah,
you so I'm gonna hand this off to her, take her about 20 minutes, come in here, 15 minutes, "Can I get you anything?" And she's gonna go over it, and whatever you wanna do, you're gonna do. I'm not
yeah,
pressing you,
yes,
blah, blah, blah. Now, sometimes you have this guy actually had a toothache, low level for definitely an endo, and I had already told him that.
mhm,
When I sent in my Michelle, which that day was a Michael, he's the other person that does it,
Mhm.
It looked like somebody set a firecracker under his butt. That's how fast I rattled him, and I was shocked.
Oh, jeez,
Am
that's
I telling you
hilarious.
that?
Yeah.
Sometimes you do everything right, and it's just not right.
Yeah, hey, yeah, I mean, 100% is impossible, just like perfection is impossible. It's the pursuit of excellence, and part of that excellence is helping patients make good decisions about their oral health care. And you know what? Sometimes they're gonna say no, and, you can't win every single one of those, that's for sure.
No, you
But
can't.
but you know what though, Steve? I mean, I'm sure you've seen this a million times over your career. So often, as long as you like leave things on a high note and there's mutual respect and there's no pressure, their chart used to go in the stack. And I remember Paul Homily used to talk about this a lot. He's like, you'll be amazed by how many people will circle back. Might be a year later, might be 5 years later, but all of a sudden they show up and they're like, I'm ready. And so you just never know. A no
I have
today
people
might
that
not be a no 2 years from now.
I have people that refer to me
Mm,
consistently
yeah.
that I never treated. They came through.
Huh.
Maybe my fees were too much, but remember, I tell my team, the last thing I'm gonna say to you right now about this is the one thing we wanna happen today more than anything is anybody that comes in here today
Mm,
that I speak to or the hygiene team speaks to, and we give a recommendation, we need them to leave with a very good feeling whether they committed or not.
mhm.
Either way.
Yeah,
So you can't do
absolutely.
that if you threaten people and pressure them. I
Yes.
never add like, there's courses out there, Jim, that say, if they say this, you say that. You know,
That
that's a
never
bad idea.
resonated with me, man. Like, scripting just I mean, the
Right.
conversation is the conversation, and authenticity is in that relationship and how you communicate, and as soon as you start, what do they call those? Overcoming objections. It's like,
Yes.
oh. I mean, you can certainly talk about, the pros and cons, I mean, but at the end of the day, it's gonna be their choice, and they have to feel comfortable, and if you put pressure on them, then they're not gonna feel comfortable, and they're gonna feel they're being sold to, and you're gonna lose that whole element of trust that, you're so good at developing just by being you, right?
Right.
I'm sure your team is pretty well trained as well, and you probably have hired people who have those kinds of personalities as a general rule.
Yeah, I have. I will say that, and I'm sure this is echoed by many of you listening, is that it's been much more challenging for me. Probably my
Yeah.
biggest challenge
Yeah.
since COVID. I don't
Yeah.
know what happened. I love to hear a theory that's going to come out someday, but I don't know what happened. But since COVID, there's a less committed staff member population that
Yeah.
I've run into.
Right, right, which is just wild. I mean, I think statistically speaking, somebody estimated that about 30% of hygienists left the profession during COVID and didn't come back. I don't know if it's really that high, but I do know of a
Funny?
hell of a lot of practices that can't even find a hygienist.
Yeah.
So that's tough, man. I mean, you get good people, you figure out how to take care of them and make sure they never want to leave because, it all comes down to those relationships. And that relationship capital is so important, beyond just being well trained, but the relationships with one another, with patients, with you. I mean, they're priceless, really.
I think it's important for your listeners to remember that I hear us. I hear you and I right this second. And this sounds arduous, man. I mean,
Mhm.
it sounds, oh my God, this is so hard. Well, it isn't hard the 10th time you've done something like this.
Exactly, exactly.
You
Well,
know, it
and with fee for service dentistry, I mean, I had so many people because I did it my whole career. Were like, "Oh my gosh, you're so lucky," and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, but you know what? It's actually harder to do because the level of communication has to be up here. Like you said, they're going to spend more money out of pocket, and so you've got to figure that out. You can learn it, and like you said, after like 10 or 100 or 1,000 times, it just becomes a part of you. And it's just
like
it's
you with your
easier.
workouts in the last year. I'm
Yeah,
sure the first 3 weeks wasn't like it is now, right?
that's for damn sure. Today's 349 days in a row, by the way. I'm coming up on my 56th birthday. In 16 days, I'll hit 1 full year. So pretty
I'm
excited about that.
I'm jealous and I'm in awe. It's not me.
Yeah,
I need to
but
do that.
look, you
I'm
said
okay.
you're 71, but you're like 71 going on 50, really. I mean, you're incredible. Your level of energy is, I think, unmatched. I mean, guys 20 years younger than you can't keep up with you and what you do.
Well, like I said, the reason I said the last statement about how it is a lot, because I don't want anybody listening to think that they're not capable.
Mm,
And I know you've heard this in many, many ways. The only person stopping you is you. This is
yeah.
no way that what I've accomplished is unique only to Steve Rasner, other than my relentlessness to never give up,
Mm,
no matter what I have. I mean, I had 4 back operations. I had lung cancer. I mean,
oh,
I lost a son. I
oh,
mean, there's a lot of things that happened to me that broke my spirit, at times. And, things happen to all of us, and so, the saying, you only get one life and you got to decide what you want to do.
mm,
Some of you are not thriving in dentistry because you are not on the right path.
mhm,
Or and that path may be changed, for example, just by commit for 1 year to CE. See if it changes a thing. You're not gonna go broke with 1 year.
no,
See if that revitalizes you. There's a million
absolutely.
things that we could talk about, but we need
So
more time, and I'm gonna have more time in August.
I wanted to change gears here for, the last little segment we do together. One thing I said in the intro was that you've spoken in 43 states and 5 countries, and obviously number 6 is coming up in Dubai, which is gonna be amazing, our Dubai luxury dental retreat next month,
I can't wait.
for just ten doctors. There are 4 of us there, helping them, not only make the most of their practice, but to find balance in life and to increase the value of their practice and then plan for an eventual transition. I mean, there's just so much gold there. But Steve, you like all this travel you've done around the world teaching and speaking. What's like the coolest moment you've had like to date? Like I'm sure there are a lot of them. It might be hard to narrow it
Oh,
down to one, but what's the
I got one.
coolest experience? Yeah.
Coolest one was in Italy. Now, I've
Okay.
spoken twice in Italy, and one time I spoke there. First of all, at that time, which was a good 15, 18 years ago, not that this matters, but you asked me, and it's just what comes up to my head. Everybody in the audience was dressed like they were going to a high-end cocktail party.
Mm.
They all had sport jackets on or suits.
Wow.
These were high-end guys, man, and there was so much attention to detail in preparation of me
Mm.
and made me feel such incredible value. So, for example, as soon as I would leave at a break, there would be not 1, there'd be 2 interpreters right next to me. I don't speak Italian, and it was like not 1, there was 2, and then they took me
Yeah.
out to dinner every night, and there was interpreters there, and they took me out to dinner with their families, and
Wow. Wow. How
yeah,
cool
it
is
was
that?
really, I really it was a really special time for me in the world of speaking.
Hmm.
But I do have to tell you that I'm much more excited. I mean, Italy's ridiculously beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
I'm sure I'll go back. But I am r I've al who hasn't thought of going to some of the places you have in your videos? And oh my god, and I do believe I am a guy listen, look at me. I don't even wear a wedding ring. I can't stand jewelry. I can't, but when I
Yeah.
go away, I go 5-star.
Yeah.
It's
You
just the way
got
I am, and I can't wait because I know you have great taste, and I saw what you're looking at, and, you combine that with I realize what an investment it is to anybody that's gonna make this trip, and I'm sure Elijah, myself, you, and Jeff also understand it,
mm.
and you're gonna get sick of talking to me. It'll be you that quits on me first.
I love it. Well, that's what I've always loved about small group education. Either as a student or an educator, it's just really nice to have real conversations, and have that sort of unfiltered opportunity to interact, really one on one. Or, in a small group setting when, for 4 or 5 hours, we've got an agenda, but it's loose enough to where we're having conversations with people in real time. It's like, hey, but my situation, what do you do about this? And I really love that, and I love that when we're done with our session, the conversations continue, as we're, taking our, Mercedes Sprinter, to the Burj Khalifa, we'll continue talking. We'll talk over dinner. It's just so many opportunities to not only learn in the sessions, but to ask all those questions that you wouldn't have been able to ask otherwise, and have ongoing conversations for 5 days, which, again, the investment, it's significant. But when you think about how much you and I have spent on education of ourselves over the years and the return on investment we got from that, and we know one conversation, one idea, one new strategy can be 10 times, 100 times, whatever that is. So,
Well, I'm pretty sure that there's gonna be some long-term connections and friendships that come out of Dubai that transcend much more than just 5 days,
oh,
you know?
absolutely. There's no question about it.
It's
And
cool to have somebody that you respect, that's your friend, and you got to know, and you can pick up the phone, and it just it's nice. It's a cool thing.
it really is nice. And, to do it, like you said, 5-star. I mean, this Ritz-Carlton Dubai is a Forbes 5-star, and it just got rated number 17th best resort in the world. I mean, there are a million of those polls and all that kind of thing. But a friend of mine sent that to me. I'm like, yes, I knew it was good. But to see that in print is really nice.
It looks amazing. It does,
So,
and
yeah, we'll do some cool VIP excursions, activities, and we've got some really good restaurants lined up. I went in April and checked it all out to make sure, because you don't want to see something online that looks really good and then you get there and are disappointed. So, in this case, having vetted all of them, I can personally vouch for the level of quality everywhere we're going.
oh, I have trust and confidence in your taste.
Well, I
Just like
appreciate that.
I hope I just like I know my patients have with me. Trust
Yeah.
and confidence, that's where it comes
Oh,
from.
I love that, Steve, and you're just such a good role model for so many of us. And the things that I really respect most, though, are just your humility and your authenticity, because there are a lot of people who have accomplished a lot less than you, that have egos that are bigger than the room. And, to each his own, but I think your approach is what makes you relatable. It's what gives you credibility, and it's why you've been successful with patients and successful in educating dentists. And here we are, like at the end of the podcast almost, and we haven't even talked about your Lion-Hearted Dentists podcast, which I wanted to get into. I wanted to get into the Rasner Institute and the amazing surgical courses you teach. I
Yeah,
wanted to get into a whole bunch of other
okay.
stuff, but we'll do this again, for sure, because it's always a great conversation.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. It's been an honor to be part of this, and I really look forward to meeting some people that are watching right now across the ocean and plus wherever
Oh
Dubai
man.
is exactly. I'm not even sure.
Well, you know what? I'm so excited about every aspect of this. Meeting some new people. Building some great relationships, learning from one another, and just enjoying this, really once in a lifetime kind of
Yeah.
experience together. Like you said, the friendships and relationships that come out of that, I think, will be significant. So I'll say this, anybody who is interested, wants to learn more about it, they're welcome to text me personally at 219-241-4698, or they can go to luxurydentalretreats.com/Dubai and, read a whole lot more information, submit an application, and then we can have a conversation about it. But, I hope there are at least one or two people listening that, are as excited about it as we are, and decide to take that leap.
See you there.
All right, man, Steve, it's great talking with you. It's a pleasure, and look forward to seeing you soon. All right. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
This has been the Foundation Dental Podcast. If this conversation was valuable, share it with a colleague who's building something meaningful. For more leadership resources, visit foundationdentalalliance.com.